Hi everyone, thanks for joining us. Welcome to our webinar, Getting Started with Mailchimp, Grow Your Audience with Signup Forms. I'm Nicole, and I'm on the Strategic Services team here at Mailchimp. I'm joined by my teammate, Kayla.
Hey everyone! This webinar is part of our Getting Started series, tailored to new Mailchimp users or those of you looking to brush up on the basics. Let's take a look at the path of our learning journey. We'll be coming back to the slide periodically throughout the webinar to show you how far we've come and what's coming up in this tutorial.
In this webinar, we'll define some important terminology to help you better understand how Mailchimp signup forms work. We'll then introduce you to some key concepts to know and types of forms you can set up. Then we'll head into the app to go over audience settings and fields. We'll also show you the ins and outs of how the form builder works. Finally, we'll walk through creating a few different types of forms together for our business, the potted planter. If you're in need of technical assistance during or after the webinar, we recommend navigating to our website at mailchimp.com/help. This is where you can find our guides and tutorials, which is a free help center for all customers to access. With all of that being said, let's get started on our content with the first step in our learning journey with some key concepts to know.
First, the foundation of a great email marketing plan is an audience of contacts who want to hear from you and engage with your brand. However, if you don't have a lot of contacts yet, you can grow your audience using a sign-up form that you can build in Mailchimp. You're probably most familiar with sign-up forms that pop up on a website when you're shopping online. Maybe you were enticed by seeing that signing up for emails would keep you in the loop about new products. Or maybe there is a welcome discount that interested you. When you then entered your email address and perhaps some other information like first name or birthday, you were using a sign-up form that added you to that business's audience. Sign-up forms will help you start to collect the data that you need to send your own contacts personalized, relevant content. In Mailchimp, we have sign-up form options that fit the needs of your business.
But how do you get your sign-up form out in the world? You can embed a form on your website, use a pop-up form, or share your sign-up form by posting a link on all of your digital channels so people can sign up from any device. We'll dive into the different sign-up form options that Mailchimp offers in this webinar.
So, why use sign-up forms? We found that placing a pop-up form on your site can increase your audience growth by 50%. Awesome. These forms are one of the easiest and most effective ways to collect new subscribers.
When people sign up via a form, they're giving you permission to contact them, or what we call opting in. As Mailchimp is a permission-based marketing service, we do require express, verifiable permission from contacts in order to add them to your audience. This means that we need to be able to know when and from what source a subscriber opted in. Let's talk about opt-in a little bit more.
Mailchimp audiences are single opt-in by default. That means that each time someone fills out and submits your sign-up form, we'll add them to your Mailchimp audience right away. This makes it easy for people to join your audience, which can be helpful if you're capturing customers on the go.
We also offer the double opt-in sign-up method, which requires an extra step of verifying your email. This means that when someone submits their information through your sign-up form, they'll receive an email asking them to confirm their sign-up. This extra step is a way to ensure that contacts want to be added to your audience and that their email address was typed in correctly.
If in the past you've received a high volume of bounces, unsubscribes, or complaints, double opt-in is recommended. Additionally, due to GDPR and other European Union privacy laws, if your store's primary contact address is in the EU, your audiences may be set to double opt-in by default. For more information about GDPR, we always recommend checking out our website.
Within your audience and your account, you can configure these different settings related to your sign-up process, like opt-in method and GDPR fields. We'll show you where to find and edit these a bit later in this webinar. Before we discuss the different types of forms that we offer in Mailchimp, let's talk briefly about the elements that make up a form. Here you can see an example of a Mailchimp sign-up form. You'll notice that the form is pretty simple. We're focused on collecting information we need from our subscribers to market to them. while also including a plant image to represent our brand. You can see a variety of things we're asking for, like first name, last name, and email address. Each of these three pieces of information are referred to as fields in Mailchimp, and you can customize which fields you'd like to organize on your form. With these fields, you can collect data and create segments in order to organize your audience by different criteria. We'll come back to fields and how you can manage these in just a bit.
At the bottom of this form is the subscribe button. If your audience is set to single opt-in, the customer would be added to your audience once they've entered in their information on this form. If your audience is set to double opt-in, once the customer hits the button, they'll then receive an email to their inbox asking them to confirm that they want to subscribe. Note that you can also add images and further customize the look and feel of this form. Now, for the types of Mailchimp forms that you can set up, we're going to walk through the types of forms now for context, and then we'll later hop into the app and show you how these forms would be created.
Now, there are sign-up forms for you to share on social media or other communication channels, and there are sign-up forms for you to add to your site for visitors to use. So let's start by talking about a couple of different shareable form options that are published and maintained through Mailchimp, as you can see here in the next step of our learning journey. First, the regular hosted sign-up form, which is what we just looked at together. When you create a Mailchimp audience, we'll automatically generate an easy-to-use, shareable form for you. We're going to pull up our sign-up form. You can see we kept our form pretty simple, but you can customize this form as much as you want and then share it through a link with potential subscribers across all of your marketing touchpoints. Note that this form doesn't live on your website. It's simply a link that you can share to quickly get people to subscribe to your audience. Here you can see the form, and we got to this form by going to our Mailchimp audience and grabbing that shareable link we mentioned. We then pasted the link into our browser. We'll show you where to actually find this form link once we head into the Mailchimp app together. Now, let's say you want to add a form to your website to collect subscribers. There are two types of forms available to add to your site, the pop-up form and the embedded form. First, the pop-up form. This form appears inside a pop-up window on your website based on criteria you set. You can create and design the form in Mailchimp and paste the form's code into your site to make it live.
Note that you can design and preview this type of form right in our easy-to-use form builder without any custom coding. And you can see an example here in the slide. Next, there's the embedded form. With an embedded form, you'll just choose the type of form that you want to display, and then we'll give you the code to add that to your site. You can see here an example of an embedded form. As a reminder, the embedded form will live on your website, and it's often placed in the sidebar or the footer of your site. Now, if you want to customize these forms further, you would, or someone you know would need to be comfortable with editing HTML. As this is a more of an advanced task, we definitely recommend just keeping this in mind before creating one.
To wrap up this section, let's go over the differences between an embedded and a pop-up form. So some main differences to note. With Mailchimp pop-up forms, you can design them right within our drag and drop builder. However, embedded forms do require knowledge of coding if you'd like to customize them further than our default settings.
And then pop-up forms pop up on a website when a new visitor lands on your site, and then go away when a user either subscribes or closes out of the form. Embedded forms live more permanently on a website, and they can't be closed out in the same way that pop-ups can. Now, we'll briefly touch on form integrations and plugins, as sometimes you may have a very specific idea in mind of what you need in a form. If none of our form options work for you, or if you need to set up your form through an integrated platform, let's take a look at the integrations we offer.
From e-commerce to social media, all of our integration options can be found in our directory at mailchimp.com/integrations. For example, if you're already using a sign-up form that was created outside of Mailchimp, this is where you can come to find a supported integration. And this is what the integrations page looks like on our site. Going a step further, if you're familiar with custom coding and want complete control over your sign-up form process and opt-in settings, you can code your sign-up form from the ground up. You would use our API, which allows third parties to pass subscriber information back to Mailchimp. This is advanced territory that would most likely require a developer or Mailchimp expert.
If you're interested in going this route and need assistance, you can always check out our experts directory at mailchimp.com/experts. And here you'll find a hand-picked directory of specialists that can help you market smarter.
And this is what the experts directory looks like.
You can filter by the location and language of the expert, as well as their specialty.
Keeping in mind all of the options to create your own form, use an integration, or work with an expert, if you're not sure what form is right for you, try a few to test them out. After you set them up, wait a couple of weeks and measure the performance of each form. Let's refer back to our learning journey. Now that we've covered key concepts and types of forms, we're going to head into the Mailchimp app. We'll start by going over audience settings and fields, and once we understand those concepts, we'll put that knowledge into practice together in our form builder. When you log into your Mailchimp account, you'll be brought directly to your audience dashboard.
We'll just want to check that we're working in the correct audience up here at the top left-hand corner from this drop-down menu. We're going to be using our retail customers audience, which is where we're at. Perfect. We'll then select this Manage Audience drop-down at the far right, and here we're going to click Settings. Many settings for each of your audiences can be changed or edited here, such as audience name and defaults. This is where you can edit the type of opt-in for your audience, which would be single or double, as well as choose to enable GDPR fields if necessary. You can also edit your default from name and email address and more from here.
Scrolling down, audience fields and merge tags is a place to add fields to your audience database and change the merge tags associated with them. You'll remember we talked about fields earlier to describe different information that you'll collect on your audience, like email address and first name. You can use merge tags to insert this personalized content from your audience into the campaigns you send. Anytime you'd like to add additional fields to your sign-up forms, like being able to collect a customer's phone number, you'll come here to add a new field.
And scrolling down a little bit further, we also have our required email footer content section, which is where you can edit contact information about your audience and permission reminders. For example, this is where you could edit your store's address that shows up in your email footer.
So let's click into audience field and merge tags. Information about the contacts in your audience are stored in audience fields. You can edit those fields to meet your needs here or through our form builder when you're setting up your forms. The information you collect through these fields can be seen in your audience's contact table, which is where you can see a list of all of your contacts, as well as on individual contacts profile pages. Here you can see we have fields like email address, first name, and last name. On this page, we can add more audience fields or remove some to help us customize what shows up on our sign-up forms.
Next to each field, you'll also see the option to make that field visible or required. If a field is visible, it will show up on your sign-up form. Required means that someone filling out your form won't be able to submit the form without inputting that information. This page is also where you can set fields to personalize the information that you wish to collect about your contacts. For example, do you want to collect birth dates so that you can send contacts discounts when their birthday comes up? Or do you want to collect zip code or other information specific to your business? That will help you further target your campaigns. If so, you can do so by selecting Add a Field right here. For the example of a birthday, you can just select the birthday field option here. And once we select it, in the dropdown next to the new field, we can choose our date format for it. And we can name the field. We'll call ours birthday. And once that's done and saved, we can now include this field in our sign-up forms going forward. Create as many or as few audience fields as you would like to help you collect the information that you want about your contacts.
Now let's see where the information you collect in these audience fields will live within your Mailchimp account. Let's head to our contact table where we can see a list view of all of our contacts. To do this, we'll go up in our navigation menu to manage contacts, then select view contacts from the dropdown. So here we are in the contact table. This is where you can view all of the contacts in your audience, as well as search for individual contacts, update their information, and more. You'll note that here at the top of the table, we can see a variety of categories like first name, last name, phone number, and birthday.
These categories correspond to the audience fields that we just talked about.
Whenever a contact fills out this information on your sign-up form, this is where you can come to see it in your audience. Also, if you import new contacts into your audience and this information is in your import, you'll also be able to see it here in the contact table. A best practice we recommend is to collect information that you need to know from your subscribers in order to effectively market to them. Think about the forms you filled out. It's a task you want to be able to accomplish without investing too much time. So here we are, back in our learning journey. We're going to move on and talk about the different form options found in your Mailchimp audience. We're going to head back into the app. And if we head up to this menu, we'll click into the Sign Up Forms tab, where we can see a list of our form options.
You'll see a few different choices here. There's the form builder, embedded forms, subscriber pop-up, and form integrations. Let's go ahead and start by selecting the form builder. The form builder is a tool that you'll use to design, build, translate, and share your various Mailchimp forms. These forms include emails and messages that are part of the sign-up process, like the confirmation thank you page that someone would see after signing up successfully through your sign-up form.
Keeping consistency across the design of these forms and emails will help guide your audience through the process of becoming engaged subscribers. You can also see here for our main sign-up form, we have a sign-up form URL. We referenced this earlier in the webinar. You can use this link to then share your sign-up form with potential subscribers.
Now let's talk about what type of forms can be found and edited in this form builder. There are 4 categories. If we select this dropdown, there's the subscribe category, unsubscribe, update profile, and the other bits section. So let's talk through each of these. First up is this subscribe section, which includes forms that you can customize as part of your audience's subscription process. These forms include the link to the sign-up form that we showed you earlier in this webinar. The forms in the section will vary based on which opt-in method you use with your audience. If you use double opt-in, which requires contacts to verify their email address, you'll see the sign-up thank you page and opt-in confirmation emails here as well.
Under this is the unsubscribe section, which are the forms your contacts will see when they unsubscribe from your email marketing, such as the unsubscribe success page, which is seen right down here. The forms in the update profile section show you what contacts will see when they request to update their profile information, like their email address, group preferences, or audience information. This section is where you'll see the profile update form. This form is what you can send to your contacts, requesting them to update their information. For example, you could utilize it to ask subscribers to join new groups you have set up, or to enter their birthday so that you can send them coupons during their birthday month. This form can be linked in your campaigns by using an update profile merge tag.
And lastly in this dropdown is the section of other bits, which displays miscellaneous forms and pages connected to your audience. In this section, you'll see the forward to a friend form, which is a form that subscribers will see when they click a forward to a friend link in your campaign.
Let's talk through how to set up your different forms. The form builder is made up of 3 main sections: the Build It, Design It, and Translate It tabs, which you'll use to customize all your forms, sign-up response emails, and miscellaneous pages. First up, the Build It tab seen here. This tab is where you'll add structure and content to your sign-up form and response emails. You can use this area to add or remove audience fields and change field settings from these right side menus.
For example, maybe we wanted to add a text field to the sign-up form. We could do so by selecting the text button right here in the right menu to add it to our sign-up form. And then we can name that field. Since our business is selling plants, maybe we want to ask our customers what their favorite type of plant is. In that case, we could add a text field and name it favorite plant in order to collect that information. These fields are the same as audience fields we saw just a moment ago. We're just setting them up directly from the form builder, but this data will also be seen in your contact table. Now we'll save it, and if we click to field settings for this field in the right menu, we can select to edit the field names, hide certain fields, or delete them altogether from here. For example, we currently have a group category set up in our audience for gardening level, where subscribers can tell us if they're a beginner, intermediate, or advanced level at gardening. As a reminder, groups function like categories in Mailchimp, and they're meant to be contact-facing, so you can collect information based on what contacts tell you about themselves or their preferences.
However, say we want to add a group option for expert to this sign-up form. We'd scroll down to the bottom of the form, select this group field by clicking on it, and then scroll up to the right and select the Add an Option button. We'd type in expert as a new option, and then we can save this field.
We also have a field for phone number here on our form. We want to temporarily hide this on our sign-up form as we've decided we don't want to collect this information for right now. We could do that by clicking this field in this form and then choosing Hidden under Visibility. We'll now save this, so now our contacts don't see this option when signing up through this form. Let's say that we decide to totally delete a field on our form. We can do that by removing a field by clicking into it. Let's select this one right here, and then selecting this delete button right here. However, we want to let you know removing a field from your sign-up form will also remove that field's data from your audience. So just be extra careful when you decide to delete fields. So let's decide not to.
Now, let's go ahead and scroll up and select the Design It tab. This is where you'll edit the style, color, font, and graphics of your sign-up form and response emails, as well as the page and body layout of these forms. So we're going to make a few of those changes now. Starting with the page section, let's choose a background color. For our business, we know our main brand color is a dark green, so we're going to make that change. Now, choosing header, we can scroll over the header and select Change. If this is your first time editing your sign-up form, you'll see a selection here that says Use Image Instead. This will launch our Content Studio, which is a place in Mailchimp where you can store all of your images and files. As you can see, we have a header image already imported that we use in our campaigns. So we select that and just click Insert. If you want, you can even link this image to your website. So we're going to do that and then hit Save and Close.
All right, now clicking Body up here in this menu, you'll see that the main area of our sign-up form is now highlighted. In this section, you'll be able to edit the foreground color, the default text, and the link styles. Now, next in the submenu, let's select Forms. Here you'll see the options to edit the colors and text styles for the form's buttons, fields, and its error messages. And finally, let's select this Monkey Rewards tab. Here you can edit which default Mailchimp badge is seen on your forms. Or, pro tip, if you're on any paid plan, you can disable this badge at any time. So wouldn't it be seen on any of your forms or your emails? It's important to note that any design changes you make here in this Design It tab, like changing background color or font, will be inherited by all of your other pages and response emails that we saw in that dropdown earlier. This helps to build brand consistency for all of the pages your subscribers will interact with and saves you some time in the long run.
Next up, let's select the Translate It tab in that top menu. This section is where you'll translate your sign-up form and response emails or customize default text. Mailchimp's forms are English by default, but you can change the default language to suit your audience. You can choose from one of more than 50 supported languages and will translate the form field placeholders, alerts, sign-up button, and most other text. However, if you want to change the wording of the default text, you'll need to translate the fields manually. For example, if you want to translate the form and change address to postal address in your desired language, you need to do that manually here. All right, we know this has been a lot of information. But before we jump into the types of forms you can add to your website, we wanted to show everyone our connected sites page in Mailchimp. This is where you can connect a website if you have one, for example, an e-commerce site you run. By connecting your site to Mailchimp, you'll be able to take advantage of additional Mailchimp features, including being able to automatically add a pop-up form to your site.
To find our connected sites page, we'll just head up to our profile name in the top right-hand corner of our dashboard, right up here. We'll then choose Connect from that dropdown, and then we'll choose Connected Sites. As you can see here, we already have a BigCommerce site for our store already connected. You can see that we've connected our retail customers audience to it, as well as utilized features like our abandoned cart email.
Let's assume we didn't yet have a store connected in Mailchimp. We'll click on Add Another Site up here at the top right to pretend like we're adding a new site for the first time. Here you can see a variety of integrations we have for connecting different types of sites in Mailchimp. As e-commerce is very popular, you'll see a variety of those integrations here, from Magento to Shopify. In the left menu, you can choose Website Builder to connect a Squarespace or WordPress site. Or you can choose Custom Website if you have a fully custom built site and would like to connect it to Mailchimp. Now that we've explored the Connected Sites page, we'll head back into our audience to start exploring embedded forms. We'll click on Audience in our top navigation menu, then head over to the right Manage Audience drop-down menu. We'll click on Sign Up Forms.
This time we'll scroll down to select Embedded Forms. As you may remember from earlier, this type of form is ideal for use on your website, if you have one, because you can embed it right onto your site. Have you ever seen a sign up for emails here box at the bottom, the top, or the side of a brand's website? Well, that was likely an embedded form. Here on this embedded form page is your Mailchimp audience. You can choose from some basic options of what you'd like to appear on the form. Note that if you'd like to edit the look and feel of the form to match your site, you need to do that after it's been added to your site, and this will require knowledge of custom coding. So just keep that in mind before you start creating your form in Mailchimp.
This embedded form builder offers a few types of forms. Classic forms, which look the most like hosted Mailchimp sign-up forms, which we spent some time looking at earlier. These offer more traditional sign-up form fields and allow you to customize additional fields and options, including form title and width, visible and required fields, groups, and other format options.
Next up here, we have condensed, which are great for a sidebar on your website. The condensed form only includes an email address field. If your audience has required fields other than the email address, or if you want more customization options, we would recommend that you use one of the other field options here.
And then there's horizontal, which often works well in a website footer. This form is also very simple, just focusing on collecting a user's email address.
And lastly here, we have unstyled forms, which have no defined styles. They are similar to the classic form, but don't include any formatting. The unstyled form allows greater control and flexibility. You can include a title, specify form width, determine which form fields to display and require, and link to your campaign archive, and so much more.
Once you have designed and edited your form, you can generate the code seen here and copy and paste that onto your site.
Many third-party website platforms make it easy to embed Mailchimp sign-up forms. If unsure at all, we recommend that you check your website provider support page for guidance.
Let's go ahead and click to the Sign Up Forms tab once more, and this time we'll select Subscriber Pop-up. Pop-up forms help you connect with the people who visit your website. You can use the pop-up form editor to design and customize a pop-up form and add a special offer or discount to help grow your audience and boost your sales.
Once you publish, we'll automatically push the form code to your connected site, or provide the code that you need to embed it on your site if it's not connected to Mailchimp.
Just a note before you get started. Similar to the embedded forms, embedding code on your site is an advanced task and is recommended for users familiar with custom coding.
If you're not sure where to modify your site's HTML, we recommend that you contact your site provider, your developer, or hire a Mailchimp expert if you need assistance.
Now in this pop-up form editor, you'll navigate between three tabs on the right to create your form: Design, Fields, and Content. This Design tab is where you'll choose the format of your pop-up form and when it displays to people who visit your site, which you can see here. You can also add and style labels, call to action buttons, and custom messaging.
Let's keep our format as module, which we have right here, and we'll set it to display in the middle of the screen as we have. However, we want to change the pop-up delay to 5 seconds after someone lands on our site instead of immediately. So under this display dropdown, we'll select after 5 seconds. We also want to change the color of the button on our form, so let's take a moment to edit that here.
Next, we're going to head to the Fields tab. Fields allow you to select to show certain audience fields or make them required. We're going to add a first name field to our pop-up so we can collect this information from users when they're signing up. We also want to include our group for gardening level on our form, and this allows new subscribers to tell us how proficient they are at gardening right when they sign up. Note that you can also check these sliders to make fields required. And finally, content is where you can add an image and customize what you want this pop-up to say. In our case, we're going to replace our current image and select a new one. And then we're going to ask subscribers to sign up by incentivizing them with a 20% discount on their first order. So we're going to take a moment to do that all now. Now we have an automated welcome email set up so that when this welcome discount goes out, it will send to them shortly after they subscribe through this pop-up form.
Now that we've finished customizing our form, we'll go ahead and select Save in the pop-up module. As a note, we have previously worked on our pop-up form for this audience, so we're now saving new changes that will be updated on our live form. If you're creating and launching a pop-up form for the first time, you'll see the option to publish the form for the first time instead. Note that if you connected your website through one of our platform integrations, Mailchimp will automatically push the code to your site once you publish it, at which point your form will become active. So we'll go ahead and publish just like that.
As a reminder, if you don't have a site connected to Mailchimp, you'll have the option instead to generate custom code to add to your site. So we've finished running up through our sign up forms tutorial. Way to go, and thanks for following along. Let's take a look at everything we learned. Here's our learning journey slide one last time. To recap, we went over some core audience concepts, discussed types of forms, then moved on to audience settings and fields. We then spent some time in Mailchimp walking through options for setting up your own forms and wrapped up with creating some different types of forms together.
Thank you all again for joining us for our tutorial, Grow Your Audience with Sign-Up Forms. We appreciate you following along, and from here in Atlanta, Nicole and I just want to say, have a great day, y'all.